Hey everybody,
We're good.
this is Chuck. I'm coming to you today as day one of a many-day series here, and I'm going to talk about me running into, there's been a lot of discussion with me and some friends and dieting and New Year's resolutions and all this stuff. And I've said for a long time that I've been on a low-carb lifestyle, and that's true. I do a lot of very low-carb eating. When I say I mean we. Chuck in, Toots, right, we both do it.
Yes.
So, I talk about a low-carb lifestyle, and we eat extremely healthy. Probably not enough fat to be a keto thing, but then I never said keto. But my vice, our vice, is alcohol. So we have too many drinks, and that completely throws off the calorie count and ketosis, if you dare use that word, and fat burning. Instead, you're sugar burning all this alcohol and all the sugar from your drinks and all this stuff. So when I talk about low carb with no lies lifestyle, I've decided that this is February. Actually, it's February 1st as I record this. And it's 29 days, so I get to do it for 2 less days. It's the middle of winter. There's going to be less social drinking for me, except for one day. I do believe next Tuesday, in 3 days here, I will have a beer or 2 beers on that Tuesday night. But other than that, I've vowed to completely cut alcohol because I know that's my vice. If I say, oh, I'm just going to have a beer tonight, oh, I'm just going to have a beer tomorrow, I'm actually going to have a shitty day at work Sunday night, I know I'm going to come home, I'm going to buy 4 Loko at the get-go, that's the equivalent of like 6 beers worth of alcohol in a can, and who knows how much sugar's in that freaking thing. I'm cutting all of that out. I'm not using that as a crutch. We'll get to that a little bit later. So when I say no added carbs and low carb, I mean I'm not going to eat bread, I'm not going to eat pasta, I'm not going to have the alcohol. There's carbs in ingredients. There's carbs in my cottage cheese. There's carbs in the tomatoes and onions I season a meat dish with, or I prepare a meat dish with. There's going to be carbs even in asparagus. I'm not going to add the beans and the peas and the lentils and the legumes, right? I'm going to eat nuts. Going to eat a lot more regular fats and cut the carbs. The problem is, I'm saying lifestyle. I'm not on a diet. It will seem as though I'm dieting because I'm going hardcore no alcohol. But I need to do that because I need to put in the work to prove this works. I need to put in the effort and the energy to prove that you can, and most people will lose weight if they don't lie to themselves. If I'm making a bowl of cottage cheese in the morning for work, fill up my 1 serving or 1.5 measured, it will deceive you, and take a nice big old spoon of that and eat it. If I'm making a peanut butter jelly sandwich, which I don't eat sandwiches anymore, I scoop a nice piece of peanut butter in my mouth, scoop a nice spoon of jelly in my mouth. People don't count those calories, they skip them. That's one of the most biggest calorie vampires in the world. And then they get all anal about counting calories in a cough drop or in your daily vitamin. You're anal about that, but you skip the 65 calories and 8 grams of carbs that you just had by sneaking them in your mouth making a sandwich. So that's the kind of things that you got to look out for. That's the kind of things I know are there. I do it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to try and stick a little bit more true. Stick true to meal times. I might even do some intermittent fasting. Try to eat all of my meals in a 6 to 8 hour period in a day, and fast for the other 16, 18 hours. We'll try and see how that happens. So I guess where I need to go with this, and another piece of what brings this on to me, is I make a couple statements in my life. First one, these might be borrowed, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good statement. You can have anything that you want, but you can't have everything that you want. And why do I bring that up? Well, in the cases, I want a Ferrari and a Corvette, and a new pickup truck. But I can't have everything I want, so maybe I could pick one of those. So I could get a Ferrari. I could probably finance a Ferrari. I could probably finance a Corvette. I could probably finance a new pickup truck. I certainly couldn't finance 2 of those. Well, I certainly could, but the debt machine would love me. Or I could pick nothing. So I can have anything I want, but not everything. So Ferrari, Corvette, truck, nothing's on that list too. So I'm going to choose nothing there. But what does that mean in this low carb lifestyle that I mean? Well, I don't want to diet. I do want to prove this low carb thing. I do want to shed, let's face it, We could all afford to use 10 pounds. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. That's part of it. I wouldn't mind shedding 10 for the summer. But I also want beer. So now if I have low carb lifestyle for a couple reasons, to low carb drop the weight, low carb prove that it works, and I want beer, or I can have nothing, well, if I do nothing, then this video in this next 30 days is going to prove nothing to you, so nothing's out. And I certainly want beer. Everybody knows that, right? It's easy to come have a beer or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 on the weekend, right? Or when you're off. You know that. So, but that is anti-low carb for the weight and the proving of the workingness. So I am going to cut the beer. When I say I can have anything but not everything, that's it. I can't have all 3 and be happy, and I can't lie to myself about it. So that's going to be a very difficult endeavor. I'm also fond of saying you are entitled to anything that you want, you just haven't put the work in yet. So now what that means, that doesn't mean, that I didn't go to work and slave for 8 hours. It means I can have fires in my fireplace over the winter, but if I don't put the firewood in the house, if I don't stack it outside, if I don't carry it down and stack it locally, and if I don't carry it again and put it in the fireplace, those are all work, right? I can have a fire. I could go buy firewood, or maybe the firewood fairy I could pray to and can bring me firewood. But if I really want a fire, I don't get one unless I put in the work. So that's kind of how this works on this thing too. Putting in the work in this case could be, I need to exercise the self-control and the willpower to very mindfully not put an ounce of alcohol in my body, except for next Tuesday. That's a pre-exception. I'm not making an exception spur of the moment tomorrow morning on my way home from work. I know I have one social gathering this month and I'm going to take it. I have put in the work for the willpower, the willingness to move on. Low carb also isn't easy. I have to put in the work in my shopping. I have to put the work in my meal preparation. Meal planning and preparation. Because it's too easy to come home, get a box of, I know people don't do it, or they do, hamburger helper, or just pull out some hot dogs and mac and cheese, or throw in something else and throw fries on top of that. It's just too freaking easy if you don't have a meal plan. Meal plan and prep are two entirely different things. So not only that, I'm going to have to put the work in to try and mindfully know when I'm going to eat for the next day, right? I could graze all day. Might not be that good for the metabolism. People say it's good to spread it out because it teaches portion control. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Can you lose weight doing it? Probably can if you do it right, if you keep all of those portions low. Depends on the type of the food you're eating. So that putting in the work starts with shopping and meal planning, finishes with meal prep and actually meal times. So there's going to be a lot of work in there. I can have anything I want as long as I put in the work. I'm not asking for the Corvette. I'm not asking for the firewood, which might require physical capital. I'm requiring something else that takes energy. Work takes energy. Time, preparation takes a lot of your energy. Can suck a lot of time out of your life. I can honestly say, since last August, it sucks. If I play it hard, it sucks a couple hours out of my day sometimes to do this. I might be planning meals ahead of time, but then other days with leftovers, I might not have any time invested at all. But it still requires that planning, and I still have to be mindful and know that that's coming. So lastly, a lot of people tell me that this is not, long-term, it's not maintainable, it's not, what's the word?
Sustainable.
Sustainable. How could I not know sustainable? It's not sustainable over a long time. So it probably is, right? Because if I want to lose, I'm going to say 10 or 15 pounds this month. I don't want to lose 10 or 15 in April. I don't want to lose 10 or 15 in May. And I don't want to lose 10 or 15 in June. Because that's like 40 to 60 pounds over the next 4 months. I'd have skin hanging and balls hanging and ass hanging, clothes hanging. I'd kind of like to lose 10 or 15 right now. And then maybe stay a little comfort zone for a month or two, right? Maintain that weight. How can I do that if I'm going to do this keto thing? Well, I can maybe see how it works. I could play the field and have several drinks one night a week. Maintain the rest of the week. It's a little bit of a calorie and a sugar roller coaster, but it's not drastic, right? Maybe I can have a banana or two a week. Maybe I could throw in 2 pasta dishes a month if I keep my drinking down that week. We could see what happens. So I do think it's sustainable, and I do think it's maintainable if you're, once again, mindful, if you put in the work of self-control and thought, right? If you put those in and the planning and the preparation, that it is not only sustainable but maintainable if you don't lie and don't cheat to yourself. That's wrapping up my intro for the last 2 days. It's day 1, but it's really day -1 and day 1 of this video series. I've got a couple little clips showing you my weigh-in. What was my measurements? I think I went 44 1/4 across my chest.
44 3/4.
44 3/4 across my nipple line. I'm sparing you guys the naked fat guy. And I went 43 1/4 around my belly button line. So not only am I going to be looking at the scale, I weighed in starting weight at 116 all the way up to 117 and a half today, just because
that would be
216 and 217. Jesus. You know,
the camera puts weight on you.
Yeah, the camera. It's the shirt. It's the Iron City beer shirt. Put a lot of weight on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my starting weight at 216. I'm up 1.5 pounds, which is bullshit because now I have to lose an extra 1.5 pounds. But you'll see how that'll fall off. I've got a measurement across the nipple line, measurement across the belly button line, and we're going to see if I can actually lose inches. I mean, I don't know where it's going to balance from. I might not lose anything, right? I'm certainly not going to exercise in doing this. But anyway, that's a long wrap up. I've got some video that I'm going to try and attach to the end, just proving that weight, so I'm not lying, because I'm not lying to myself. I don't care what people think, you know. I can write down what I'm eating for a day. Here's another addendum, my goodness. I could write down what I'm eating for a day in a spreadsheet and post it on the internet, and I could sneak a lot of shit, right? And I see people on diets not only not losing, but gaining, because they're lying about that list. Everything that goes in gets written down. I'm going to play that game. I'm going to play it hard. I'm also going to, several times, try to write down a list of those foods and possibly even the weights, right? Because we got to be mindful of calorie sizes and portion sizes. I'm going to do a little bit of that too. But it's all about writing it down and not lying. That sneaker cottage cheese, that cheap beer when you come home, they're going to kill you. And it's not because of the diet. It's not because of the lifestyle. It's because we're not willing to put in the fucking work. Sorry for the F word there, but that's what it is. We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you. Okay, we're going to make a very quick point. This is my dinner. I'm standing naked in the kitchen, except for my underwear. I'm going to weigh myself too as my official first weigh-in, just so people believe the numbers. I'm not going to lie, because I'm not lying to myself. We're going to talk about that later. I did not eat my sauerkraut from yesterday. I did not eat my cottage cheese from yesterday, so that is less calories yesterday than I thought overall, but they're probably the lighter things. I probably should have had this. Doing the same thing today. Got an atomic bomb right there, or a armadillo egg, or whatever you call it. It's actually smaller. It's almost an ounce smaller than yesterday's. 7.15 ounces of meat with a tiny little bit of the collards that I didn't eat. So I weighed that all in together, since there's bacon in there, considering that my meat course. And I added, since I don't have enough greens and light, looks like sliced potatoes, but those are golden pickled beets. So that's all I'm going to eat for the next 24 hours. Like I said yesterday, it was similar to this. This would have been this size container full of collard greens. It's out there. And I didn't even eat it all. Couldn't. So here's the official. I'm weighing myself just in underwear. No socks, no pants, no nothing. $217.5. It's kind of a shock. It was $217 when I weighed myself in the other room. It was actually $216 when I weighed myself yesterday, because that was after I'd been drinking, before I had started eating and hydrating properly. I was actually dehydrated, and systems didn't work either yet, right? But I'm still going to be consistent and weigh when I wake up. I can't say in the morning because I work nights sometimes. So it's when I do my wake up, after I take a whiz, then I weigh myself. So up 1.5 pounds, eating right and not drinking any alcohol for the last, at least 30 hours. But 30 hours. So what I suspect is tomorrow I'm going to be about the same, and then the next day I bet I drop like 2, maybe 3 pounds. Also just playing the rehydrating and eliminating the excess water weight that I'm actually retaining, even though I'm dehydrated. That is possible. You could look it up. And we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. I want to hopefully add this to the end of an intro, which I'll call day 1, day 2 intro in a minute.